Oh man, today is a very good day for Nationals fans because Josiah Gray makes his All-Star Game debut, so we're going to discuss that. But also, let's talk about the biggest snub of this year's All-Star Game.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, always guaranteed with our friends over at FanDuel. I'm your host, Ryan Clary of this said podcast, Locked On Nationals. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11. So the first half of the season has wrapped up. So later on in today's show, it's the first half Washington Nationals award show. Who will be taking home Depoy, the Defensive Player of the Year? Who's going to take home the first half MVP, the first half Cy Young, the breakout pitcher, and the special, the Ryan Clary He Tried award? I'll explain that a little bit later on. We're going to get to that in the second segment, but also in the third segment to wrap up today's show, I'm actually going to give a little kudos to Major League Baseball. I think this is not really talked about enough, but we're going to discuss that and really dive into what I believe the Major League Baseball and the commissioner, Rob Manfred, actually deserves a little bit of credit for this. We'll discuss that a little bit later on, but as we continue to do, we're going to talk about the All-Star Game because that is tonight. And Lane Thomas, he's at the All-Star Game, right? With the numbers that he has had this year, Lane Thomas has been one of the big breakout players in the National League this year. He's been one of the better, most productive outfielders in the National League. He's there, right? He's not. Lane Thomas is not in this All-Star Game. And guys like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. from the Arizona Diamondbacks, he's a fine player. He's an All-Star, you could say. But let's get really down to it, because the numbers in basically every single category, Lane Thomas is better than Gurriel Jr. It's not really about him. I'm not mad at Gurriel. He did nothing wrong here. All he did was get voted into an All-Star Game. He's playing for a better team. And in fact, he's probably got a little more power as well. Maybe hasn't really shown that all too often this year. And maybe he is the better overall player this year. But what's the All-Star Game all about? What is it about? Because in my mind, I've always hated this just so much, dating back to an Anthony Rendon and Trey Turner and guys like that for the Washington Nationals in the 2010s who didn't really get the All-Star nods until they really deserved it. Anthony Rendon should have been an All-Star well before he was back in 2019. Anthony Rendon should have been an All-Star multiple times over before 2019. Bryce Harper always got into the All-Star game here. Steven Strasburg got in a fair amount as well. Max Scherzer, all those guys, the reason why they got in is because they're stars. And what is in the name of the All-Star Game? It's stars. It's not called the All-Great Team for a reason. It's the All-Star Game. And when we talk about these star players, isn't it just frustrating for the fact that we can't recognize the best players in the game? Because that is what Major League Baseball should be prioritizing over anything else. That is what you do. You cannot tell me that Lane Thomas hasn't been one of the best right fielders in the National League this season. The numbers that he has displayed for defense and as well as offense, obviously. This guy's been one of the better right fielders in baseball this season. And yes, has it come as a surprise? Absolutely. I like Lane Thomas. I've always liked his game. I think he's a very good ball player. I've always thought he's your prototypical fourth outfielder on a very good team. But I think what Lane Thomas has proven to us this year is that he's not just a fourth outfielder on a really good team. This guy's been given the opportunity to play every day here with the Washington Nationals, play in right field, have a spot start in center field, or whatever you may need from him. And he has taken that opportunity and he has now run with it. Now, even much so that he is in the picture for the future. Now, Mike Rizzo is going to have a decision to make whether to move off him on this trade deadline and get what you can for him, as he's got about 2.5 years left to control. But there's really a win-win situation for the Nationals and their fans when it comes to that. You either get the next 2.5 years with Lane Thomas, or you trade him away at this deadline, and they're not going to trade him away for nothing. They're going to get something back, and that something back is going to be a very nice prospect, or maybe a handful of them. Who really knows at this point? We'll just have to see who's going to be traded and where the demand is. Because if there's not a lot of outfielders that are going to be on this market who could be getting shipped off, Lane Thomas is going to be at the forefront of this. He may not be the sexiest name. He may not be your all-star, but he should have been an all-star. Because his numbers this season, if you talk about advanced analytics, if you're just talking about slugging, batting average, whatever metric that you look at, Lane Thomas is above average in basically any and every category there is. Because right now on Baseball Savant, he ranks in the 53rd percentile as far as hard hit percentage goes. His expecting batting average is in the 60th percentile. His barrel percentage is in 55th percentile. And what is most impressive about Lane Thomas, and I still don't think gets talked about enough, he's in the 94th percentile as far as sprint speed goes, and he's in the 95th percentile as far as arm strength goes. Lane Thomas should have been an all-star this year. I've made this case in the past, and we all kind of saw this coming too, if I'm going to really talk about this, that Lane Thomas was never going to be an all-star. But the numbers and the way that Major League Baseball takes this, he should have been an all-star, and it's really not close. And I'm picking on Yoris Gurriel Jr., and it's unfortunate because I actually like the player. I think he's very good. But the numbers aren't comparable. They are not. And that is why Major League Baseball has to get rid of this popularity contest. Now, while, yes, you want Ronald Acuna front and center to be in front of everyone, all the stars out there, and Lane Thomas is not really someone that even a casual baseball fan would know. Honestly, they probably wouldn't. If you're a diehard baseball fan and you root for the San Diego Padres or whatever other team out there, you probably know Lane Thomas. At least you should, just from what he has done this year alone. And really dating back over the last 2 years, this guy's been an above league average major league hitter, especially in the second half of these last 2 seasons. But now he's taken a step up in this first half, and he's made his case to be an all-star. It's just the fact he did not get in. Josiah Gray did. Josiah Gray is pitching tonight in today's all-star game. I could not be happier for Josiah Gray because this is the thing. It was a flip of a coin between Josiah Gray and Lane Thomas. The Nationals had to have someone represent them at this year's all-star game. Josiah Gray was well deserving of this all-star nod. And this is not a knock on him. This is the fact that Lane Thomas did not get an all-star nod. But Josiah Gray does get his chance tonight, and I think people are going to really see what this guy is. Back in the minor leagues, he was known for being that fastball-heavy pitcher. He's going to make you swing and miss and really attack you with his fastball. Similar to a lot of Nationals pitchers over time, Steven Strasburg, Jordan Zimmerman, Gio Gonzalez, he's kind of reinvented himself to a way that he has this deep arsenal that you can just never know when he's going to pitch whatever pitch he wants to go with. He is not someone that you can just scout and really find and point to this is what he's going to do in a 1-2 count with runners on first and third in a tie ball game. He keeps you guessing, and that is the part of Josiah Gray's game that makes him so good. And I think when talking about his deep arsenal, you talk about the slider, the changeup, whatever you want to talk about when it comes to Josiah Gray. He's really proven it that this year, that this guy is one of those better prospects that the Nationals got at that 2021 deadline. He's proven to be that he is an all-star guy, that he is a top 3 rotation piece on a very good team. And now he's going to be front and center on this national stage up in the Pacific Northwest, up in Seattle at T-Mobile Park. Josiah Gray, let's go. All-star season. I'm excited for Josiah Gray, and I can't wait to watch him. But, Lane Thomas, you, my friend, were snubbed. And it's not okay. It's simply not okay. Thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. You can catch tonight's All-Star game over on SiriusXM and catch it on the SXM app just as well as every hometown Nationals broadcast. Just search Nationals when you find that there. Before we get into the first half award show for today's show, you got a lot of awards to give out. Depoy, MVP, Cy Young, Breakout Player, and the Clary He Tried Award. I'm going to explain that award a little bit later on. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at Gametime. And guys, Gametime is just so great because buying tickets to your favorite events should never be stressful. And Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guaranteed, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll have. I work right near Nationals Park. I get off work at 6:30, typically 30 minutes before the game. Every time I go over there, as I'm walking, I open up my Gametime app, and it's 2 clicks away. I got my tickets. I'm walking in the stadium. I'm buying a hot dog. I'm buying a beer, and I'm in my seat at 6:50. I want you guys to experience the same because Gametime is the place to be. Download the Gametime app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And now we get back into it as we are going to discuss and really get into the first half of the award show for the Washington Nationals. And let's start off with really the obvious one. The first half MVP goes to Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas has been the most valuable player on this Nationals team. And when you think to yourself this, where would we be right now without Lane Thomas? Serious question. Where would this offense be? How bad would our numbers and our metrics look at this very second? Quick answer, it would look pretty bad. Lane Thomas has carried this Nationals offense and really the defense itself. This guy has been the best player that you could have ever possibly imagined him to be. When you traded him for John Lester at the 2021 deadline, the Cardinals were about to DFA him. He was about to get cut. He got traded away for John Lester. He came here, revamped his career, and again, should have been an all-star in 2023. But he is not, but we're happy to have him. Most valuable player, easy, end of discussion. Lane Thomas, you are the MVP. Another kind of layup one. First half Cy Young winner, Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray is going to the All-Star game tonight. He's going to be pitching an inning tonight in the ball game. Josiah Gray has taken the biggest step up as far as any national players go. When you talk about someone who really is just as simple as this, a very good pitcher, someone who's going to really get down to the technique of things and really break it all down. Josiah Gray has done everything that you have wanted him to do. And when you traded him for Max Scherzer and as well as Trey Turner back at that deadline in 2021, a lot of people had high hopes. And if you were to tell me by 2023 that Josiah Gray would have been an all-star just a year ago, I would have told you you're crazy. But now he is. And now he's been one of the better pitchers in the National League. And he's going to prove that tonight on a big national stage that he was worthy of trading away Max Scherzer for, that he was worthy to trade away Trey Turner for. Josiah Gray was the headliner piece of that trade, and he is now proving to be one of the Nationals and one of the National League's best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Breakout position player goes to third baseman, Jeimer Candelario. Go back to the offseason. Find any episode that I talked about Jeimer Candelario. I didn't trash the guy, but I trashed the signing. I thought the signing was horrid. I thought it was awful because I was like, what are we doing? We got Carter Kieboom coming back from injury. I'd rather see him, see if he turned it around after Tommy John surgery last season. But no, Jeimer Candelario has come in here. Not only has he played a solid defensive third base, this guy's been our second best hitter behind Lane Thomas. And what Jeimer Candelario has done, he stayed healthy throughout this season. He's really bumped up his trade stock, which is why the Nationals signed him in the first place. They signed Jeimer Candelario to have this breakout season. That was the whole hope. They spent the $5 million on him just to hope and to pray that this guy will break out this season. And he did. So now what do? You're looking at a nice return at this trade deadline. Whatever that may be, the Nationals will be trading him because that is what they signed him to do. They're going to trade Candelario, and salute to you, sir. You go on your way. You do your thing, because Jeimer Candelario has been awesome. He has been very good, both at the plate and defensively over at that hot corner. Breakout pitcher of the first half. Bullpen piece. Someone who's been in the national system for a little while. Jordan Weems. Again, another player that I was like, we're calling up this guy again. We've seen it. We've seen it all from him. Jordan Weems has been the unsung hero in this Nationals bullpen. And as we've seen the bullpen kind of take a step up-ish, I mean, there's only one way to go from the May and the June point of this bullpen. But the Nationals bullpen has looked pretty good. And Jordan Weems, since coming up in mid-May and making these routine, really coming in to save the day, Jordan Weems has proven himself to be a reliable bullpen option going forward. And I think the most impressive thing about it, this guy was drafted as a catcher coming out of college. He's made his transition over to pitching, and he's pretty good at it. And I think it's kind of one of those stories now. You could talk about Jacob deGrom. He was drafted as a high school shortstop, made the transition to pitching, and he's a multiple-time Cy Young winner. That's not Jordan Weems. But what this guy has done, he's been eating up innings. He's been actually doing really solid work, and he's starting to get some high-leverage situations because Davey Martinez trusts him and his stuff. And I think a lot of people should trust him and his stuff. And it's kind of one of those things to where, are we going to trade him at this deadline? Or are you going to want to keep him under contract, keep him in the system? Because the guy has flexibility to where he can eat up a few innings. He also can come in a high-leverage situation and close out a ball game that we've seen him do. So Jordan Weems is my breakout pitcher. And to me, you could give it to Josiah Gray, but he won the Cy Young for the first half. Jordan Weems has been a very pleasant surprise for this Nationals team. And I don't know where the bullpen would be over the last month, because you can't throw Mason Thompson, Hunter Harvey, and Kyle Finnegan out there every day. You got to have someone else. And Jordan Weems has come up clutch for this Nationals team. The defensive player of the year. This one was tough. You could go Lane Thomas. You could go Luis Garcia. You could go Jeimer Candelario. You could go Victor Robles maybe. But no. First baseman, Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith, I can't tell you how many times this guy has saved not only Luis Garcia, but C.J. Abrams as well. Dominic Smith has helped this pitching staff in ways that we can't even quantify. And the reason why that is, just look at his defensive metrics and what Dominic Smith has done this season. Look at the game. Watch the game. You guys all see it. Dominic Smith, the step up that we have taken from the defensive side of things from the second half of last season with Joey Meneses there to this year and what Dominic Smith has done for this team, it's been night and day. This guy is a legit Gold Glover kind of guy over at first base. Now, do I think he wins the Gold Glove? Probably not. Probably not. It's a pretty easy bet. It's the Washington Nationals. We're probably not going to have any Gold Glover or Silver Slugger this year. But when talking about it, Dominic Smith has been a very pleasant surprise on the defensive side of things. Now, while his offense, it's been kind of atrocious, if we're being honest. He really hasn't taken a step up. He doesn't have the power back from what he had in 2019 and 2020. But on the defensive side, he's been very good. And he saved this Nationals infield a ton. And really the integrity of defense in Major League Baseball and kind of the lost art of that first base position has been found again with someone like Dominic Smith. He's been a pleasant surprise over at first base because I knew he was a great fielder, but I didn't know he was this good. And I think Dominic Smith has really proven himself to be that guy. And I think with the Nationals, they're going to have the decision to make. Is he going to be traded? I don't know if anyone's going to trade him. But again, when you have a young infield, Dominic Smith is kind of a perfect stopgap to really help mold that Nationals infield. You got guys that are going to be coming up from AA and AAA here over the next season. The Nationals are going to have the decision to make on what to do when it comes to Dominic Smith. But this is the special award, the award that I came up with because I feel like he just deserves an award. This guy does. This is the Clary He Tried award. Basically, what it is, it's the Stay Healthy award. It's the go out there every 5 days award. Patrick Corbin, you're the Clary He Tried award winner for this season. And I say that, it's kind of a joke award, I'll be honest. But I just feel like Patrick Corbin deserves some recognition. He really hasn't been as bad as his usual self over the last few years. The guy goes out there every 5 games. He takes the ball. And this season, there's been a decent amount of quality starts like we saw over this past weekend. Patrick Corbin looked very good. And it's really come down to, if this guy just gets 4 earned runs or less, I'll take it. If he doesn't give up 7+ runs, I'm fine. Because Patrick Corbin, not only is this guy going to go down as a franchise legend, Game 7 and what he did in that 2019 season, legend. But the guy deserves recognition for just going out there and eating up innings. I have never seen someone get rocked around the way that Patrick Corbin has at some points over the last few years. And he never blames anyone. He takes on himself. He takes on the chin and said, yeah, I have to be better. Everyone has said about him, he's got to be better. You're paid to be one of the Nationals' best, if not the best starting pitcher. You were the opening day starter after all. But Patrick Corbin, you got a young guy like Mackenzie Gore here. He's taught him a lot, it seems like. Patrick Corbin, you're the Clary He Tried award winner. You tried. You're doing your best. If you're a Washington National after this trade deadline, which I think you will be, I'll still be rooting for you. I'll still wear your jersey. You tried. And I think that matters. Thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every day. But before we get into talking about a little kudos I think people need to give Major League Baseball when it comes to yesterday's home run derby, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at BetterHelp, because this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Now let's get into applauding Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball. I know this may not be the most popular thing in the world, but I've always thought about this because I'm a nut when it comes to these All-Star Game events. When it comes to the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, I'm watching. When it comes to the NFL Pro Bowl challenges with all the different things that they do, I'm watching. When it comes to the All-Star Home Run Derby, I am absolutely watching. Because the All-Star Home Run Derby is by far and away the best All-Star event in any given sport. I don't care what sport it is, the Derby is the best. And the reason why it is the best is Major League Baseball, they get the stars to come out and play in this event. Now, events like that, you probably don't want a Lane Thomas in it. You probably don't want a Stone Garrett or a Joey Meneses in it. You want the headliners. You want your Shohei Ohtanis, your Juan Sotos, your Bryce Harpers. And in yesterday's home run derby, as it was a wildly entertaining one, you had guys like Randy Arozarena, Mookie Betts, you got Luis Roberts, you got a ton of different guys when it comes to Pete Alonso, who's kind of been a heel of this tournament, and thank God he lost. Thank God. You have guys like Julio Rodriguez, Freddie Freeman in the past, Kyle Schwarber. Major League Baseball gets the stars to participate in this Major League Baseball home run derby. And that is the key when it comes to the events like that. Now, while my gripe has always been that it's a popularity contest when it comes to getting into the All-Star game, I still stand by that point. But for the home run derby, that's where you want the stars. You want them front and center, hitting 450-foot bombs that are leaving at 115 miles per hour off the bat. And that's what you get. You get a show just like you did last night with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just ripping the cover off the baseball. Julio Rodriguez in front of the home crowd killing the baseball. Back in 2018 with Bryce Harper, when he was here at home with his father throwing to him, he ripped the cover off the baseball and won that derby. Major League Baseball has done an amazing job when it comes to the derby. Amazing. And I don't think it's really said enough because we kind of just take it for granted. We just assume now that all these stars are going to be in it. But when you look around at the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, at the Pro Bowl, whatever other professional sports league, you look at these guys and you're like, these aren't the stars I want to see. I love Zach LaVine. I love all the different NBA players who are in the slam dunk competition. But let's be honest, it sucks now. You had guys in the G League that were playing in this last dunk contest. And while Mac McClung, he's an exciting talent, I really like to watch him dunk the basketball. It's fun. He's not the star. I want to see LeBron. I want to see Damian Lillard, whoever else it may be. I want to see the all-stars. Major League Baseball has done that with the home run derby. And I think a lot of people have kind of just taken that for granted for what it is. Because in our sport, we do get to watch the star in this scenario. We get to watch the guys that we want to see. Like last year with Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto at Coors Field. You cannot tell me that was must-watch TV with two guys who just smoke the baseball anywhere and everywhere they go. So kudos to Major League Baseball for the home run derby. I just don't think they get enough credit for getting the stars out and really making incentives for them to want to play. And Pete Alonso, loser. That's all I'm going to say about Pete Alonso. Thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about Josiah Gray's inning tonight in the All-Star game. You guys can catch that just like I will be tonight in the All-Star game. I can't wait to watch Josiah. I can't wait to watch this game. It's always a fun game when it comes to the All-Star game. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Enjoy everything today. It's a beautiful day out in D.C. Enjoy it. Watch some baseball tonight. And Josiah Gray, you, my friend, are an all-star. We'll see you tonight.